Imagine this for a moment. You wake up, maybe not even to your alarm, but instead there are federal agents at your door, Enforcement Directorate agents.
Yeah, quite the wake-up call.
Exactly. And this isn't, some scene from a movie. This actually happened in the, well, usually quiet town of Dindigul, Tamil Nadu.
Hmm.
It was a Saturday morning, crisp, August 16th, 2025. And these federal sleuths, they weren't just knocking on any door.
No, they were specifically targeting Tamil Nadu's Rural Development Minister, I. Periyasamy.
Right. Him, his son, who's also a DMK MLA I.P. Senthil Kumar, and other family members too. It felt like, well, a moment where the political plot just got a lot thicker.
Absolutely. Suddenly you have these serious allegations, money laundering, old cases resurfacing, big stuff.
So that's what we're diving into today. Our mission really is to break down this whole unfolding story. We want to stick to the facts, the investigations, but explain it simply.
Like explaining a complicated game, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Who are these people? What exactly set off these raids? And crucially, why should you, listening right now, care about this? What does it tell us about, well, power, accountability?
And we'll try to keep the jargon, to a minimum. Clarity is key here.
Definitely.
But it's important to stress right from the start, while it might look like pure drama, these are really serious actions. We're talking about India's top agency for financial crimes.
The ED.
The ED, yeah. And raids like this, they aren't just pulled out of a hat. They always point back to something else, what's called a predicate offense.
Okay, predicate offense, meaning?
Meaning an underlying crime.
Yeah.
Something like corruption, maybe fraud, something that investigators believe happened first, and that's what kicked off the money laundering probe. The ED doesn't just show up for no reason.
Right. They need that initial hook, so to speak.
Precisely. They operate under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the PMLA. It's a tough law. So they're there because they think they have substantial grounds to investigate financial trails linked to that original offense.
Okay, so let's pin down the scene a bit more. That Saturday morning, August 16th, 2025. What exactly happened on the ground in Dindigul?
Well, reports say it was early, sun barely up. ED teams, apparently coming from Madurai, spread out across Dindigul.
Multiple locations simultaneously.
Yes, coordinated. The main target was Minister Periyasamy's home in Duriyarj Nagar. But at the same time, teams went to his son, I.P. Senthil Kumar's place in Silapati.
Okay.
And also his daughter Indrani's residence over in Valalar Nagar. And there were whispers, or reports rather, of probes happening in Chennai too, possibly other places.
Wow, so a really widespread operation, not just one house call.
No, definitely not. The scale of it, the coordination, it really underlines how serious they view these allegations. It turned a potentially quiet weekend into, well, a major federal event.
And the ED showing up with search warrants, that tells you they're looking for specific evidence, right? This isn't just a casual chat.
Absolutely not. They're hunting for something concrete. This whole operation suggests a significant planned investigation.
So what's the core allegation? Why this sudden burst of activity?
At the heart of it, it's illegal money laundering. That's the main accusation driving the ED's current actions.
Okay, money laundering.
But, and this is key, it's not like this accusation just popped up yesterday. These raids, the ED has been quite clear, are directly linked to an older case.
The disproportionate assets case you mentioned.
Exactly. The DA case, disproportionate assets, dating back to 2012, that's the foundation. The ED believes funds might have been acquired illegally back then, and they're now looking for evidence of how that money might have been, cleaned.
Laundered, made to look legitimate.
Precisely. Tracing that financial path from the alleged original crime, the disproportionate assets, to wherever it ended up.
We also heard about some local reactions, didn't we? Things got a bit tense.
They did, yeah. Reports mentioned protests starting up outside the residences. Supporters of the DMK, Periyasamy's party, gathered.
And they were quite vocal.
Very. Chanting slogans, calling it a political vendetta, accusing the central government of targeting opponents. Security had to be beefed up quite a bit to manage the situation, keep things calm.
That political angle, it always seems to surface in these cases, doesn't it?
Almost inevitably. It adds another whole layer of complexity to understanding what's going on.
Let's go back to that 2012 disproportionate assets case. You called it the predicate offense. Can you unpack that a bit more? Why does this older case suddenly give the ED the green light now?
Sure. So the ED, under the PMLA, can only investigate money laundering if there's evidence of proceeds from a crime listed in the Act's schedule. That's the predicate offense.
And the DA case qualifies?
Yes. Corruption cases like disproportionate assets are predicate offenses. So the allegation from 2012 was that Periyasamy and his family accumulated wealth, assets, that were way beyond what their known legitimate income could explain.
During his time as revenue minister, right?
That's the period cited, yes, 2006, 2011. So if that wealth was illegally obtained, the ED can then investigate if steps were taken to disguise its origin, which is the money laundering part. It's about following the money from that alleged initial wrongdoing.
Okay, that makes sense. So tell us a bit more about I. Periyasamy himself. He's obviously a big name in Tamil Nadu politics.
Oh, absolutely. A real veteran. He was born, I think, mid-1950s in the Dindigul district itself.
Yeah.
Came from a fairly modest background, from what I understand.
And his political journey.
He came up through the DMK, the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, a major force in Tamil Nadu politics for decades. Built on Dravidian identity, social justice themes.
The long association, then.
Very long. He's held significant ministerial posts going back to the 90s. Crucially, he was the revenue minister from 2006 to 2011. That's the period under scrutiny in the DA case.
And now he's a rural development minister?
Correct. He's represented the Athora constituency multiple times, often winning by large margins. So yeah, very established senior leader in the DMK.
And rural development, that's a pretty critical portfolio, isn't it? We're talking about schemes that affect millions.
Hugely important. Things like MGN Regie, the Employment Guarantee Scheme, housing for the poor under PMA, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, water supply projects in villages. It directly impacts a vast number of people in rural areas.
And it seems politics runs in the family.
It does appear so. His wife, P. Susila, has been mentioned, and his sons, P. Prabhu, and particularly I.P. Senthil Kumar, the MLA, who was also raided, and his daughter Indrani, too.
Senthil Kumar followed his father into the DMK.
Yes, he's the current MLA for the Palani constituency. It's not uncommon in Indian politics, is it? Political families often see multiple members entering public life.
True. Okay, let's dig into that DA case itself. What does disproportionate assets actually mean in this context?
Basically, it means officials investigate whether a public servant's assets, their wealth, property, etc., have grown significantly beyond what their known legitimate sources of income, like salary, can account for.
So the investigation tries to find the gap.
Exactly. This specific case started in 2012. The DVAC, that's the Directorate of Vigilance and Anti-Corruption, Tamil Nadu's own anti-graft body, filed the initial case.
Against Periyasamy.
Against him, yes. The allegation was that during his time as revenue minister, roughly 2006 to 2010 in their calculation then, his and his family's assets grew by about 2.01 crore more than their known income.
2 crore rupees, that's not insignificant. What happened with that case initially? These things can drag on.
It certainly can, and this one did. Initially, a special court down in Dindigul actually discharged Periyasamy and his family.
Yeah.
They essentially said there wasn't enough solid evidence to even proceed to a full trial.
So, case closed.
Not quite. That's where the recent twist comes in. The Madras High Court took another look, and on April 28, 2025, Justice P. Velmurugan overturned that discharge order.
Overturned it, so back to square one.
Pretty much. The High Court directed the special court to actually frame the charges and conduct a proper trial. The judge basically felt there was enough prima facie evidence, enough on the face of it, to justify letting the legal process play out fully.
Did the High Court mention specific reasons for disagreeing with the discharge?
Yes, the judgment pointed to perceived flaws in how the discharge was handled, issues with certain documents, valuations of assets, things that suggested discrepancies needing a closer look during a trial.
And that High Court decision, reversing the discharge, is what the ED latched onto.
That's the connection. That judicial reversal essentially confirmed, in the ED's view, the existence of a potential predicate offense. If assets might be disproportionate, the next question is, were they laundered? And that's where the PMLA powers kick in.
Right. Let's clarify the agencies involved, because we're throwing around acronyms like ED, PMLA, DVAC. Maybe start with the ED. What exactly is their role?
Okay. The Enforcement Directorate, the ED. Think of them as India's main financial police force, in a way. They investigate economic crimes.
Like what?
A whole range, actually. Violations of foreign exchange laws, terror financing, and, critically, money laundering. They've been around since 1956, but their teeth really got sharper with the PMLA, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which came into force in 2002.
And the PMLA specifically targets money laundering. What does that process involve, simply put?
Sure. Money laundering is basically taking dirty money, cash earned from illegal stuff like corruption, drug dealing, fraud, you name it, and trying to make it look clean, like it came from legitimate sources.
How do they do that?
It's often complex. funneling it through multiple transactions, maybe buying property, setting up shell companies, investing in businesses, anything to obscure the original illegal source so the money eventually seems legitimate, like using dried money to buy a flat and selling the flat. The money from the sale looks clean.
And the PMLA gives the ED strong powers to tackle this.
Very strong powers. They can seize or attach assets they suspect are linked to laundered money, they can summon people for questioning, and crucially, they have powers of arrest. It makes the ED a really formidable agency in fighting financial crime in India.
So we have the ED, the PMLA, this case involving Minister Periyasamy. Why should the average person, maybe someone listening who isn't deeply into politics, care about all this? Beyond just the headlines, I mean.
Yeah, that's a really important question. Look, cases like this one, with its long history and sudden revival, they really highlight this ongoing struggle in India with accountability for people in public office.
How does it connect to the average person, though?
Well, think about it. If funds are being diverted or amassed illegally, as alleged in these kinds of cases, who potentially loses out? It's often the public services.
Like the ones Minister Periyasamy oversees.
Exactly. Those housing schemes, the rural employment guarantees, the water projects he's responsible for in Tamil Nadu. If money meant for development gets siphoned off, it's those vital services that can suffer.
So it impacts roads, jobs, basic facilities.
It can, absolutely. Illicit money also distorts the economy, it can push up prices, and fundamentally it just eats away at public trust. People pay taxes, expecting services, expecting development, and corruption undermines that whole contract. It hits the quality of life for ordinary citizens.
The political dimension is impossible to ignore here, too. The DMK, Periyasamy's party, is currently in power in Tamil Nadu. How are they reacting?
Well, as we mentioned with the protests, they view these raids with a lot of suspicion. Chief Minister M.K. Stallin's party sees it, or at least portrays it, as the central government, led by the BJP in Delhi, using federal agencies against political opponents.
Especially since the DMK is a key opposition party nationally.
Right, so the term political vendetta is being used quite strongly by DMK leaders. They're drawing parallels to investigations against other opposition figures elsewhere in India.
But the ED's position is different.
The ED maintains this is procedural. They point to the Madras High Court's order reviving the DA case and say that automatically triggered their duty to investigate under the PMLA. They frame it as simply following the legal mandate.
Is this kind of scrutiny on a minister unusual in Tamil Nadu, or does it fit a pattern?
It definitely fits into a wider, more recent pattern.
Yeah.
Periyasamy isn't the first DMK minister to face these kinds of challenges lately.
Oh, who else?
Well, he's reportedly the third DMK minister facing graft trials. K. Panmudi was actually convicted in a DA case, though there might be appeals. And then there's V. Senthil Kumar, who's currently in jail related to a job scam case.
So a string of cases against prominent figures.
Yes, across party lines, too, historically. But there's a sense, particularly since maybe 2014, of an intensified anti-corruption drive, nationally. And ED cases specifically have seen a huge increase.
It makes you think about India's political history, doesn't it? These kinds of allegations are sadly not new.
Not at all. We've had massive scandals like the 2G Spectrum case, Colgate, and right here in Tamil Nadu, the former Chief Minister Jayalalitha faced a long battle with a disproportionate assets case that eventually led to her conviction posthumously being upheld.
And nationally, too, figures like Lalu Prasad Yadav with the fodder scam, P. Chidambaram faced the INX media case.
It cuts across the political spectrum. The lesson seems to be that large, unexplained wealth accumulating around politicians inevitably draws scrutiny and increasingly serious legal action. For the average citizen, it's frustrating, right? You pay your taxes, you expect governance, and then you see these headlines about potential misuse of funds.
Let's talk about the potential impact on governance more directly. As Rural Development Minister, Periyasamy handles huge budgets and critical schemes. MG and GA, PMA housing, Panchayat funds, these affect what, maybe 70% of Tamil Nadu's rural population?
Easily. It's a massive responsibility.
So what happens when a minister in such a key role is under this kind of cloud?
Well, the disruption is a real worry. A minister facing intense investigation, court dates, potential legal battles, it inevitably takes focus and time away from their duties.
Could it slow things down? Affect decisions?
It certainly could. Projects might get delayed, administrative efficiency could suffer, it creates uncertainty. The average person just wants their roads built, their schemes delivered. They want leaders focused on that, not, potentially dealing with allegations about hidden wealth. So these investigations, while necessary for accountability, can have real side effects on service delivery.
So as we kind of wrap up our look at these August 16th raids in Dindigul, what's the bottom line right now?
The immediate bottom line is simple. Minister I. Periyasamy and his family are, legally speaking, presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. That's fundamental.
Right. The investigation is just beginning, really.
Yeah, exactly. The ED is examining seized documents, electronic devices. It's an ongoing process. But this whole episode, stemming from that revived DA case, really highlights India's ongoing, often complicated, but absolutely essential struggle against corruption in public life.
And connecting it back to you, the listener, it's worth remembering these events, whether in Dindigul or historical cases like Jayalalitha's or Lalu Prasad Yadav's. They aren't just political soap operas.
No, they're much more than that.
They're really reflections of how society is grappling with financial integrity, with trust, with demanding accountability from those in power. Yes, there's the potential disruption to governance, especially with vital rural schemes hanging in the balance, but there's also that undeniable need for transparency.
And this Periyasamy case, because it stretches back so far and then suddenly comes roaring back, it really shows how persistent this challenge of accountability is. Past actions can definitely have future consequences.
So here's something to maybe think about after listening. In a democracy, we elect leaders supposedly to serve the public. But when serious probes like this happen, you almost always hear cries of political vendetta. So what compass do you use? What's reliable for you as a citizen?
Is it enough to just wait, maybe for years, for a court verdict? Or is there, perhaps, a deeper responsibility for all of us to look closely at that intersection of power and wealth, even before a final judgment?
What do these ongoing battles against corruption really tell us about the health of our governance system? And maybe, just maybe, what role do you play in demanding better, in shaping that story? Something to mull over.